we specialize in home insurance. There is no other company, there's no other startup in India that is making their bread and butter on home insurance. Families जहाँ एक health issue होता है, they actually move into poverty.
There was this very amazing movie called Oh My God, and in that one, electricity burns down his shop, and he gets his policy papers, takes them to the court or takes them to the settlement agency, and they just say it's act of God, hum nahi karte. Are you still the corporate jackasses?
If you have a vision, you can bring it to life.
Yeah, do you also think this is because of affordability in India? In India, I don't think things are that expensive, which is why we're not valuing them. We're like, yaar, kitna kyun rupya de?
Just cut me a consulting check, yeah. But I think there are about 700 or maybe more insurance companies in the US. It's a $3 trillion insurance industry.
Do you think insurance is a genuine problem?
The world is in turmoil because not a lot of people are following their dreams. Hi, my name is Kanishk Kanakia and I'm the founder of Insure My Home, a D2C online first, platform first home insurance startup that has taken on a mission to make home insurance more accessible to every homeowner in India. So that's a short introduction, and I'm super excited to be on this, Akhil Gupta. Glad we can do this here. So thanks for the opportunity.
So यार एक लाइन में तो बोल दिया D2C online first, something else first. What does that mean?
Yeah, so I think it's very simple, right? It's a new category of insurance that we're trying to popularize in India. And आप देखोगे health and motor as brokers, we can get a lot of agents, licensed agents with us or sub agents with us to distribute those traditional categories of products. But with home insurance, one we're targeting slightly affluent homeowners in certain tier one, tier two cities. But two, it's a very new category for an agent to take on as a bread and butter selling exercise. So the thought here is from a practical standpoint, but also from our DNA standpoint, because मतलब you'll understand this guys, हमारे DNA में ये है कि we online first सोचते हैं, brand भी है तो दुकान ही सोचते हैं, मतलब some of us maybe think, but generally हमारे जो generation है we think online first, right? So that's what we want to bring to insurance. You can sell things online. Policy Bazaar's obviously done it. Some other companies have done it. Now, how can we do it? We want to find a niche, which is home insurance. I think awareness is a big thing again, which is what necessitates online first. है ना, बिकॉज वो अवेयरनेस ऑनलाइन ही आएगा, ब्लॉग्स क्रिएट करके आएंगे, पॉडकास्ट करके आएंगे, लोग से बात करके आएगा, वो एक अबव द लाइन मास रीच वो ऑनलाइन से ही पॉसिबल है, राइट, एक लो कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव वे में. सो दैट्स व्हाई वी थॉट कि इंटरनेट के थ्रू, वेबसाइट के थ्रू हमें ये डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करना है.
Do you think insurance is a genuine problem? Don't you think that insurance is like, even since birth, I have heard of insurance in India. Yes, it is pretty different in the West. It is different in the US and Canada. It's mandatory, especially if you're on rent or in a rental property, that you need $1 million coverage for insurance minimum. But don't you think there are a lot of insurance companies in India? So why you? Why is it a problem?
So fun fact, Akhil, like how many insurance companies do you think are there in India?
I mean, just for advertisement purposes, I have seen Policy Bazaar. I have seen Paytm have their own insurance. I've seen Reliance Jio has their own insurance. I've seen Acco has insurance. XYZ. I've seen a lot of them, right? They have a lot of insurance.
काफी है bro, like I would say like there are 30-35 insurance companies in the US, bro. There are about how many do you think there are? Just like
They're very difficult to name. I think US में insurances are in local clusters. So every city will have their own insurance agent and every very distributed kind of thing.
I may be wrong and I might have to double check it if I'm adding a zero या क्या है, but I think there are about 700 or maybe more insurance companies in the US.
Must be more.
Must be more. I think in the thousands.
Yeah.
Which is insane to me because of the population. Obviously, insurance value might be a little higher because of GDP and all of that, but still, there's a stark difference between the number of insurance companies and the size of insurance market in US versus in India, right? Yeah, matlab we'll be probably $120 billion industry as insurance today, and in the US it's a $3 trillion insurance industry, right? So I think one is general insurance is very big in US. In India it's not that big. Life insurance actually is much bigger in India than it is in US, thanks to the omnipresent strong LIC that's जो हर कदम में हमारे साथ है. So that life insurance is taken off, but वो general insurance products खुले नहीं है, right? आप देखोगे that 5-7 years बैक तक कोई टर्म इंश्योरेंस भी नहीं लेता था, राइट? वो बोल बोल के लोग थक गए, बिकॉज हमारे डीएनए में भी ये है कि दो चीज है ना, जो होगा देखा जाएगा, विच इज समथिंग आई हैव हर्ड इन माय इमीडिएट फ्रेंड्स एंड फैमिली एज वेल. और दूसरा है कि यार वो एक चीज होता है बुरा नजर का या समथिंग, राइट, कि लेंगे तो कुछ हो जाएगा. सो वो एक भी एक वो मेंटल चीज है जो टर्म इंश्योरेंस में भी था, एंड लास्ट 5-7 साल में दैट्स नाउ टेकन ऑफ. Health has taken off. So now we're hoping to create that in some other categories. तो ये हमारा basic thought है कि insurance penetration is it's at probably I would say 4% general plus life in India. US, Canada, like you were mentioning, Akhil, it's very very high. अगर home insurance का बात करें तो भाई less than 1% of homes or 3% of homes are insured in India. आप यूएस, कनाडा देखो, फ्रांस देखो, चाइना देखो, जापान देखो, भाई 97% ऑफ होम्स आर इंश्योर्ड. तो it's not only mandatory, भाई, it's become a social cultural thing also.
Yeah, do you also think this is because of affordability in India? Today in the US, if I don't have medical insurance and kuch ho jata hai, I will be paying bills for the next X number of years. Like in the US, I think there's a whole thing, no, that get out of the US because this place has free free medical treatments, or get health checkups done while you are in a job because you get your medical insurance, because things are so expensive. In India, I don't think things are that expensive, which is why we are not valuing them. We're like, यार इतना क्यों रुपया दे?
नहीं यार, अगर
लाइफ
घर को
एक्सपेक्टेंसी कम है यहाँ, तो लाइफ इंश्योरेंस हम भरते रहते हैं क्योंकि we're like, oh yeah, something happens, we have a payout. So again, I think it's the value we are associating.
पर अगर घर को आग लग गई फिर तो घर को आग ही लगी ना, फिर तो सब कुछ ही जाएगा उसमें. फिर क्या
Exactly,
बचता है,
भाई.
क्या सस्ता क्या महंगा?
नहीं, I understand that, but I'm talking mentality wise.
एग्जैक्टली यार, आप देख लो पीछे घूम के, इतने लाइट्स है, कर्टन्स है, आपका फर्नीचर है, ये है. यहाँ अभी आजकल हमारे घर में इतने महंगे महंगे चीज हो गए हैं, राइट? तो वो मतलब 2-3 हज़ार सेव करने के लिए वाई टेक दैट हेडेक, basically we'll get into home insurance in depth, but to answer your question, Vishwat, I agree, right? But I think we are somewhat insulated to it as having some sort of privilege. Not I wouldn't even say I'm insulated. I shouldn't say things like that because it affects everyone. But a certain strata of population, in this statistic I read, that 10 or 20% of people, families, जहाँ एक health issue होता है, they actually move into poverty. So these guys are slightly above poverty, and I'll get you the stat, but 10-20% of families actually get into poverty because of a health illness at least once in their life.
यार अभी मेरे साथ ये experience हुआ है where I was taking this cab and this guy who was driving my cab was like, I am a licensed acupuncture therapist. However, on the way to some camp or something, my got into an accident, had to spend an insane amount of money to stay alive. He didn't even say to get better. He literally used the word that I am alive only because of this. Like I wouldn't have been alive otherwise. So he's like, now I had to sell all my equipment, my house, my land, everything, and now I'm here. I am driving this cab.
Yeah, and it's crippling, man. I think 30% of Middle India doesn't have health insurance.
I think there was some sort of insurance because he also mentioned that I'm waiting on the insurance money to get things back.
Let's take that angle, Kanishk. Why is it so difficult? Like India ke saath, I associate that even if you have an insurance policy, when you will try to go and make a claim, it is going to be a lot of red tape and it is going to be a hassle and it's going to be very difficult. So why do I have that image? Is that image real? And is that image real with your company?
Look, I mean, we are distributors, right? So we work with the top insurance companies in India, when we offer our home insurance. And when we offer, if a customer comes, asks us for motor, health, factory, warehouse, shop, office, pet insurance, we can offer that as well. Our core is home insurance, but we offer these value added services. In our experience so far, I think, uh, personally speaking about, Insure My Home, we have in our DNA, we think of ourselves as in the business of paying claims, not in the business of collecting premiums, right? So when we take a check from our customer, that's the DNA that I have built in a small 10-20% team, but hope to build even future down the road. Is that, we are not selling a policy, we are selling a service, right? So that is very much in our DNA. ठीक है कि we need to support our customer through it. Now coming generally, what can people do to be assured that the claims will come in time, right? The number one thing you should do is you should check कि आपका इंश्योर का क्लेम सेटलमेंट रेशियो कहाँ कितना है और क्या है.
Can you explain the word claim settlement ratio? What does that mean?
So how out of 100 claims that are filed with the insurer, how many claims does the insurer settle, right? So that becomes very important, right? You work with reputed insurance companies, especially when you're dealing with categories like health.
Is claim settlement ratio a publicly available number?
Yes, it will be available on the insurer's website. That I think is very important. And then having a broker or having an agent, whoever is selling you that policy, even if you're going through an online first platform, making sure that you have access to a relationship manager who will handle that case for you is very important, because if you're buying insurance from someone who's only part time in the business, he doesn't know anything about it, right? Like, as you need to buy from someone who's selling insurance full time, right? Because these are the guys who understand the product, these are the guys who understand the inclusions, the exclusions, and what is the price you should pay, what is the add-on you should do, and claim kaise, what is the process, right? uh, Another thing is just being very diligent about informing the insurer. जब क्लेम होता है, मतलब छोटा क्लेम भी होता है समटाइम्स, जैसे कि बाद में राइट, बट इफ वी डू इट इन अ सर्टेन टाइम फ्रेम, वी डू इट सिस्टमैटिकली, आई थिंक थिंग्स आर चेंजिंग, right? We've got a bad reputation for so many years, but I think those things are changing now, right? With the regulations coming in and the regulator cracking down on this, who claims settle हो रहे और better हो रहे.
Kanishk, the other thing I think is it's also because in India, the way at least I've seen it work for medical claims and all is that you have to pay your bills and then file a claim for a reimbursement of those bills.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because this is what my awareness is at.
Cashless भी होता है, I think mostly अभी cashless हो गया है.
That's exactly why I asked you this question. That is it a direct thing where the hospital can get paid directly by the insurance company, as it is done what I've seen in the US, or is it the thing where you pay your bills and then you file a claim with all the supporting documents and everything, and then you get a certain thing on it?
नहीं विश्व, this it's cashless, right? So all the like hospital networks में सब cashless देते हैं आजकल. Any insurance company you get, so that's not an issue. Sometimes obviously आपको pressure डालना होता है. Your patient is in the hospital, they'll get discharged once the payment is done. So वो cashless में sometimes you need to add pressure, but वो cashless हो जाता है. Like,
Can you define cashless?
cashless is like, so no reimbursement. The insurance company directly pays the hospital for your expenses. Reimbursement, जैसे home insurance में क्या होता है, we need to suppose something happens, there's repairs that are needed. I need to go get those invoices. I need to go get those repairs done, share the invoices with the insurance company, and then I can get it reimbursed from the insurance company.
Let's go deeper into something very interesting, right? So there was this very amazing movie called Oh My God, which came out, I don't know, like 5, 7, 10 years back, somewhere there.
It was a while back, yeah.
A while back. And in that one, electricity burns down his shop. Something earthquake, something. And he gets his policy papers, takes them to the court or takes them to the settlement agency, and they just say it's act of God, hum nahi kar sakte. And then there are like thousands of other people who are actually in the same boat, who are like, हमने insurance तो ली थी, but my house, it broke down. Insurance agency did not comply, and then insurance agencies are seen like these corporate, jackasses who just want money. Are you still the corporate jackasses, or has it changed? And what about this act of God kind of thing? What are some other caveats also to insurance which may not?
No, yeah, I mean we've been in the business, right? We sold thousands and thousands of these policies, and so far वो निकल जाता है, right? The reason movies are movies, but I think now the system is getting better, right? And the regulator is very very particular, very diligent about getting brokers, agents, other intermediaries, corporate agents, and insurance companies to follow up कि claim मिलना चाहिए where it's due, right? So that's one thing that we're changing as part of the system, and we see changing as well, right? Just to go into home insurance and the caveats a little bit, right? What is home insurance? Yeah? Home insurance is basically, and it applies to your shop, office, factory also to a large extent. But speaking about home, आपका जो building structure है, right? And आपकी जो contents है, आपका iPhone हो गया, TV हो गया, kitchen appliances हो गया, आपका jewelry हो गया. All of this, your home contents, your washing machines, your juice machines, your lights, everything can be covered under a home insurance policy, right? So it's basically covered against fire, all sorts of natural calamities. आपको पता है storms काफी prone है कुछ regions of like if you look at Guwahati, we're also prone to storms certain part of the year, earthquakes, landslides, cyclones. To your point, even short circuits, right? अगर short circuit होता है, seepage होता है, leakage होता है, all of these risks can be covered. In addition to this, आपका जो भी contents है, that can be protected against theft and burglary, right? So this is a cover under which you can insure your furniture, interiors, appliances, electronic gadgets, jewelry, valuables, from theft, burglary, larceny. आप FIR जाके फाइल करो, have a detailed list of क्या products आपका चोरी हुआ है. Provided you have the correct invoice, it will be you'll get the money to get a new item, right? So ये चीज रहता है. Another thing which I must point out, and I have to point out, is the caveat that the insurer will reimburse you on cost of construction basis. Suppose I have a house and one room has got burned down, right? This room gets burned down today because of some reason. Like puja हो रहा था बाहर and कुछ हो गया. Now I won't get my 10,000 rupees per square foot, or 12,000 rupees per square foot, which is the market rate. I will, in as a calculator, I will get probably 2,000 or 3,000 rupees per square foot, which is the cost to reinstate or reconstruct the property back to the same condition. So this is one caveat that should be there, because कभी कभार क्या होता है, आप home loan ले रहे हो, HDFC Bank is giving you a home loan and they're saying, or some bank, ICICI Bank, any bank is giving you a home loan, NBFC is giving you a home loan, and they give you insurance policy along with it कि आप ये home insurance policy लीजिए. अभी आपको ये चेक करना चाहिए कि वो मार्केट वैल्यू पे दिए आपको इंश्योरेंस, सम इंश्योर्ड, या आपको सम कॉस्ट ऑफ रिकंस्ट्रक्शन बेसिस पे दिए, बिकॉज उसमें काफी फर्क रहेगा. बट अल्टीमेटली द इंश्योरेंस कंपनी विल ओनली गिव यू द कॉस्ट टू रिकंस्ट्रक्ट, unless your property is at a total loss. So if it's at a total loss and you cannot reconstruct it, suppose I stay in a high rise and my neighbors aren't giving me permission to reconstruct, or I want to move with my family somewhere else, then in that case you can get the market value for the property. So these are certain things which we should be careful of. And again, the same caveat, right, Vishnu Akhil, that we need to take it from the good insurers, right? So we work with all the insurers.
Can you just clarify that once again? That what is the difference between a cost to reconstruct versus a market rate? Market rate, to chalo, you go to an architect, someone, and he says, okay, I want to design it in this way. I got to give you this X amount, whatever, say 10,000 rupees a square foot. Now, what's the difference between that versus a cost to reconstruct?
So yeah, cost to reconstruct will then become your labor cost. It will become the cost of building materials. It will become probably any cost that it takes to reinstate the property back to the same condition, right? So typically in India, your cost of construction would be anywhere between 2,000 rupees to say 8,000, 10,000 rupees per square foot, right? And this cost of reconstruction also increases over time, right? As building materials get more expensive, as labor costs, as वो plan बनाता है, specification voucher plan बनता है when you're reconstructing something, the layout, the architect's fee, the consulting engineer's fee, all of these go up over time. So this is all the costs that come under cost of reconstruction, right? Market value में आपका land भी आ जाता है, right? So even that appreciates, you can.
Acha.
So वो चीज रहता है.
तो आपको बेसिकली मार्केट वैल्यू और कॉस्ट ऑफ रिकंस्ट्रक्शन में the difference is the land price.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the only difference, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Kanish, so this podcast is geared towards entrepreneurs and it is geared towards people wanting to be entrepreneurs. So let's talk three folds. And you will have very good knowledge about two of those folds. And the third one, we'll take it. Okay? We'll take whatever you know.
Sounds good.
So you are a team of brokers and you are running the brokers, if I'm correct.
Yes, yes.
Then if someone wants to become a broker, we will take that. And thirdly, we want to take someone who wants to open their own insurance company. Okay. So I want to discuss the risks of all three. Where can it really fall apart? And I'm going to start with the big one first because I feel that's going to be the least detailed discussion we can have. So if I'm going to open an insurance company, I was invested in this company. They are an insurance company in the US. Their cash balance was more than their market value at the time I invested. Okay, so there was a huge gap between working capital versus their market value. Then what happened is that there was a huge storm in like the southern parts of North America. And that storm was covered under that insurance. And all of their cash value went into that one storm. And now the insurance company is trading for pennies and they're almost out of cash. So they're trying to raise money, right? What would be the major risks for an insurance company if I were to open one today in India? And what kind of costs would it take? What kind of money would it take me to set up?
Look, I'll start off with this, Akhil, that one, I think it's possible, right? I think if you have a dream to create an insurance company, whether you have capital or you don't have capital, the environment we are in today, I think it's possible. If you have a vision, you can bring it to life, right? That being said, I think the skill sets that are needed for an insurance company are very different from what is needed from a distributor, right? It becomes a completely different business, right? I think in today's day and age, with global warming, with frequency of natural calamities coming through, especially for property, but even generally for other types of insurance lines as well, I think underwriting is being transformed.
Can you define the term underwriting?
So, underwriting in insurance would mean the modus operandi, the methodology by which I calculate what is the risk, what is the frequency of risk, what is the magnitude of risk, and whether I should take on this risk commercially, right? So making that decision कि ये case हमें insure करना है कि नहीं करना है, that is called underwriting, right? So these underwriting models need to evolve over time as more data comes in. With AI, again, there's a big opportunity to make underwriting very, very efficient, such that insurers are not only making money on pooled funds, but insurers are also make with investments in market securities, but investors are also making money on underwriting. This is your premium minus claims, right? So how do we make sure that our underwriting profit is good, as well as our investments are giving us a certain return, right? So I think there's a huge role for new insurance companies to adopt AI and just have a more open mind and have tech at the heart, right? Like one example I'll give you, and this is a new space for me also in terms of the insurance part, underwriting part of it. But like let's say 30% of cars are going to be electric, right? So if you look at it, the most important component would be the battery, right? So the value at risk changes, the type of risk changes a little bit, and so it would be right and fair to say that, hey, the motor insurers in India today should have a different underwriting model, perhaps maybe should have a different product for electric vehicles. So I think there are a lot of these niches that can be entered into, right? There's this new concept of micro insurance as well, right? So if there's a small lean team of entrepreneurs and not a without a corporate backing or something that wants to open an insurance company, maybe they can open micro insurance products, right? So which are unique products, right? So it could be something like getting people insured in cab aggregators when they're riding, or it could be things of that nature, right? Or if they're staying at a staycation, or if they're staying at a sort of Oyo sort of place that one day stay is covered, right? So these are sort of micro insurance products which Acco came up with, and then they became a more mass insurer. So that would be my 2 cents on this, yeah.
How does an insurance make money?
So insurance company has essentially two streams of revenue, right? One is the underwriting, which is the premiums they collect minus the claims they pay out, and that is the profit. And two is, with all the premium pool that they've collected, they invest this in market securities, right? So they get a certain return which is market linked, and that's essentially their P&L, right? That's their balance sheet.
How do you make money?
So we make commission revenue, right? So on any policy that we sell, we have a typical commission structure, uh, which is the highest that an intermediary can make as brokers. Uh, Below that, you have these individual agents who make a slightly lower commission than us. But we as brokers make a slightly higher commission, also because we have fiduciary responsibility to our clients, legal responsibility to service them in claims, etc. So we make a commission cut, right? So every end of the month we get a certain remittance reconciliation where the insurance company pays us a due commission for bringing them that business, right? So it's a fairly straightforward model, traditional model.
So is the commission paid to you as the brokerage, or is the commission paid to the broker who is directly helping the client?
We ourselves are in direct touch with the customers, right? So it's our team of employees that are reaching out to our customers, and the commission is paid to us, right? The check is given in the name of the insurer, or the payment link online जो होता है वो insurer के पास जाता है, and then our operations team, they sit down and see, okay, every month इतने policies बिके हैं, इतना प्रीमियम गया है इंश्योरेंस कंपनी को, ये कैटेगरी ऑफ प्रोडक्ट के हिसाब से हमें ये कमीशन मिलना चाहिए, तो वो पैसा एंड ऑफ मंथ हमारे पास वापस आया कि नहीं आया, right? So that is the typical job of the operations team at Insure My Home.
यार इस टाइम पे ना बहुत लोग इंश्योरेंस बेच रहे हैं. There are individual insurance brokers, the banks are selling insurance, mutual fund people who are selling mutual funds are also selling insurance. There's schemes floating around all over it's everywhere. तो इस भीड़ में Insure My Home कहाँ आ रहा है? How is Insure My Home setting themselves apart? And why would someone choose an Insure My Home over like a person who is giving a like a certified person who's coming from a bank or something like that? Because Insure My Home is a startup. How are you establishing trust?
Vishnu, we again are specialists, right? We specialize in home insurance. There is no other company, there's no other startup in India that is making their bread and butter on home insurance, right? We've taken that risk. We have taken the responsibility upon ourselves to create the market, to bring the awareness, and we're the only guys doing it in India at the moment, right? Our thesis, Vishnu, is that in 2-3 years, when the trend takes off, we'll be well positioned to ride that wave, right? वो बाहर में हम बह जाएंगे एक, so that is the mentality with which we're going in, right? That we are home insurance specialists, we are home insurance experts. Number two, we are doing it in a very non-traditional way, right? So we want to be on Instagram, we want to be on YouTube, we want to be talking to our target audience in layman terms, in comical scripts, in the language that they understand. We want to be website first. We believe that there is potential to create a strong brand in insurance, right? जैसे fashion में बनता है, I don't see कि why there can't be a strong brand in home insurance in India, right? So we're spending a lot of time, energy, effort into creating that brand online, right? So that's why we have a website, insuremyhome.co.in, where we encourage a lot of our users and prospective customers to check out the website and totally self-service themselves on our website, right? And of course, where we need to step in, we step in, and we hold the hands to get them to the finishing point. But we want to make home insurance so seamless. You see, US में एक company Lemonade करके, right? It's a slightly long thing, but it's very seamless, right? So we want to shorten the questions. Maybe हमारे website पे यार, it's a 60-second thing, right? You go in, you just key in the value of your home, you key in the value of your contents, you put in your name, email, and that's it, right? You'll have a code sent to you in shortly. वैसा चीज है. So we want to make the online experience absolutely seamless, right? So that's our goal, and
So in Canada, there's this company called Remax, REMAX, Remax. And basically, what they do is they provide insurance agents all the resources they would need to sell insurances. And they are generally in the realtor space. So they would just not be insurances, they would also be leases, they would also be properties. So it's everything to do with the home, right? Now, do you see yourself like in the future of being something like that, where if somebody does want to become a home insurance agent, they can come to you and use your resources and become an agent? Or do you see yourself as someone who is not in the physical space of selling insurances, but just in the digital space?
so in the future, yes, in the future we do want to have a agent-led model as well, when scale necessitates it. At the moment, I think we are online first, and we just want to be direct to consumer for the time being.
So let's have some competition for you. Let's get you more companies in the same field. If I were to open your shop today, what do I need? How much money do I need? And how do I start it?
Just cut me a consulting check, yeah.
No, no, seriously. So what does it take to start your shop?
No, yeah, I think, see, on a serious note, it's a very tough industry to enter, right? Me personally, when I was transitioning from my first startup to this, I spent a lot of time just figuring out how do I enter this space, because I think, yeah, the goal isn't to become an agent, right? So as an agent, you can take a quick exam and you can get an agency of one insurance company, and you only sell that whether that's good for the customer or not. But as a broker, when you want to work with all the insurance companies and only give the customer what's best for them and have a legal responsibility to manage their claim, that becomes a very tough license to get, right? So either you can build or you can buy, is the way I look at it, right? It's what I learned from my first stint with entrepreneurship as well. How partnerships slash acquisitions become a very interesting model to grow. So, we figured out that, hey, if we were to get our own broker license, and if we were to build that experience or poach that experience from, probably some other companies, what would that be? Versus if we were to partner with veterans in the space, how much would that help us? So, I want to say this, I'm very blessed, grateful, lucky to have two wonderful mentors by my side, Mr. Rahul Agarwal, who's the founder and CEO of Ideal Insurance Brokers, and Mr. Abhishek Gupta, who's the founder and CEO of IndusNet Technologies. So Rahul sir, figured out, helped us out with the legal, regulatory aspect of it, as one of the many things that he's helped us out with as Ideal Insurance Brokers. Our issue with getting insurers on board and all of that, is sorted. Uh, also helped us with the years of experience that he's amassed, 15, 20 years of experience that he has in insurance. He brings that to us as an investor and mentor at Insure My Home. And Abhishek sir again is absolutely brilliant at figuring out how to build technology and how to leverage digital marketing for insurance companies, for insurance brokers like Insure My Home. So he's an investor and mentor with us, right? So I think not just in insurance, but in any field, I think as young entrepreneurs, if you bring the right seniors, the right leaders on your team as advisors, as mentors, as investors, uh, it is the only way to grow, because you can be like, okay, I want, hypothetically, I want more equity and I want to grow this by myself. But if you think of it like from a team perspective, you'll fast forward 5, 10 years easily in any space, Akhil. I think it's very, very important कि यार you build the right team with the right skill sets. So that would be my suggestion, right?
So, guys, if you want to start a home insurance company, give him a call. Give us a call. We'll connect you to him, and he'll get you started because he's the right person to connect with. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely, would love to join hands. Yeah.
Kanishk, let's talk a little bit about you. Insurance is a little, I would say, something that a lot of people were getting into a few years back. You don't usually hear entrepreneurs or startups going the insurance route. How did you come across insurance? Why insurance? Like, where did this brainchild come about?
Yeah, so look, Vishwas, I was one day I was just sitting at home and watching YouTube, and I was watching a video of my ex boss Saurabh Verma, who had acquired my first startup, Opportune, which was an influencer marketing platform agency. And I happened to stumble upon one of his YouTube videos where, uh, and this was peak of COVID lockdown, and he was talking about what the IRDA and what the government could have done better at that point of time. And then they were just discussing. And one thing that came up is, boss, so many people have lost their jobs in COVID. So, yeah, why doesn't an insurer go to the regulator and create a new product which is job insurance? And that stuck with me because it struck me as something that's very unique, and that was very needed at that point in time. And so that was the genesis, right? So while we are still pursuing to create a category in this domain also, and we can probably do another podcast on it at some point in time once we make progress. But job insurance is where it all started for me, and then happened to start researching about some more ideas, and that's when we came to pet insurance and we came to home insurance, and that was the starting point, Vishnu. So that was, yeah, that I think that was the reason, why I started reading about it, and why I stayed interested in it, Vishnu, is just the sheer size and scale of it, right? I think it's a sunrise industry. There's so much penetration yet to happen. um, and I think as entrepreneurs, we do need to do this, right? We I mean, India is it's not a developed country, right? Insurance ka zarurat hai. And seeing guys who've done it before me, I think that was just the extra fuel. Ki, it's possible, ho sakta hai. So that's how it started. Yeah.
Influencer marketing to insurance is like year and year.
To end the-
Like, it's crazy, man. Like, let's get a bit about you, man. Let's define Kanishk. Who is Kanishk? What has he done? And how did you get into influencer marketing? And then we all obviously heard the insurance journey.
Yeah, look, I strongly feel that India is the right place to be. So I would say that's, how that would be one very strong part of me, right? Because having studied 5 years in Singapore, it wasn't, it's not the easiest thing, right? To go to another country at 17 years of age, and you have all these big eyes and big dreams, and you're without your family for the first time, and you're trying to navigate through life, and in high school, some had a very good life because teachers used to handle it, was very protected, in the same city. So it's a very different journey to be in, right? So Singapore was amazing. It taught me a lot about investment banking. It taught me a lot about startups. It taught me a lot about fundraising advisory, about friends, about heartbreaks, all of these things, right? So it was an amazing 5 years. But I think one thing which it gave me was, it made me realize my undying love for India, right? And how much I value family, how much I value home, right? And that's one very strong part of me today. As a student who studied in Singapore, I feel that I have, it's my responsibility to do something in India, stay in India, and build in India first, and then maybe perhaps for the world later on. But how do we build in India? How do we write the Indian growth story? How do we get people around me jobs? How do we inspire people around me to start up? How do we create this wave of, and further accelerate this wave? So I think that is a very strong, moving force for me.
I have an answer for you. Tell them to watch Thought Bistro and they can become
Yes.
entrepreneurs and get some nice ideas going in India.
No, absolutely, man. I think this is so good, right? I've seen two of your podcasts now. The one with Karan and one with Devansh, right? And both I follow on LinkedIn, and I think I get such a different flavor out. Uh, I mean, when I versus reading or hearing them on even other engagements, or when they're giving their speeches. I think it's so fun to see the podcast with you guys because it brings out such a different flavor in them. It brings out the more human side of them, their fears, what they're scared of, their goals, how they're thinking. So I think it's tremendously value add for me, and I absolutely love it. And I want to commend you guys for doing this. Right? I think it's absolutely brilliant, and it's the fuel we entrepreneurs need to keep going. Right? Because हमें लगना चाहिए हम ही खुद पागल नहीं हैं अकेले, और भी पागल लोग हैं who have a dream and who want to change things and who have taken the tough route. So it's super amazing.
ये entrepreneurship बड़ी lonely चीज है, ये हमने बहुत देखा है. And this has been a recurring theme since I think episode number 1.
Yeah.
I think episode number 1 is where we first got. The thing was, luckily, I think for the two of us, it's been कि हाँ कोई ना कोई one of us is there to lift the other up whenever it's needed.
Also, we are very early in the journey.
हाँ, obviously that
Very early.
we are, I would say, toddlers in the journey.
Yeah.
That is a separate thing only. But even besides that, like the whole thing we've seen is that when you're doing something on your own and you're the boss technically, so it's not even like you have a work culture or like you have work buddies you can hang out with, because everyone's working for you, not.
Sure.
So that is definitely a big thing that we're trying to find. We're trying to make a way that we can make a community which is a little more founder centric, and like that's, I think one of the reasons we started this also is like we get to know more about certain founders. So like we want to create that safe space. कि कभी कुछ बात करना हो, कुछ भी हो,
we had our first Shah Rukh Khan moment yesterday. So my sister was shopping and we were at a clothes place. I don't know the brand name. It was in Select City Walk. And over there, while she went to the trial room, I started speaking to the girl that was working there. And I asked her, why are you not wearing the clothes of your shop? And she got all flustered. She's like, yeah, the pant is from the shop, but the shirt is actually from another shop. I'm like, why are you not wearing a shirt? And she said that our last collection was not good. I asked her, are you telling me that your shop, the one you're working at, their t-shirts are not good? And she's like, can you talk to my manager? I was like, okay, I'll talk to him. So I started talking to him. After 4 or 5 questions, he's like, I really like your questions. Can I ask what you do? I told him I run a podcast. And he says, I want to know the name. He goes on YouTube, starts searching, and then he's like, he has a very confused look on his face. Then he says, I have searched your podcast before. One guy actually came into the shop. I told him I'm thinking of opening a business. And that guy recommended that I watch your podcast to understand what businesses are happening. Right? So it was a very wow moment. So me and Vishnu were just like confused as to what is happening.
No, and I think man, you should have a fellow entrepreneur Vivek Yadav, वो भी तगड़ा startup बनाया है, right? It's a different space. I think you guys should definitely catch up with him as well. I think he's a Delhi-based guy, entrepreneur as well.
That's brilliant, man. Works in our favor both ways.
I think we need more stories.
Connect us with him and we'll get him on.
Yeah, our base is formed with this whole thing of stories, man. The whole reason we're doing this is to get stories out there.
Yep.
So stories are never in short supply. And I think for me, this is like this whole podcast has gone back to something which as a kid fascinated me. Today also fascinates me. I've always been a massive sucker for stories. I used to read the same, those Chota storybooks used to get those 3 Little Pigs and whatnot. I have read each and every one of those books since I was like 4 or 5 years old, hundreds of times. So stories are always like a weaker point for me. I love stories. So anyone gives me a good story, I'm happy to listen.
What's your favorite book of late?
Dude, off late to pata nahi, but there's this one book called The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand, which is probably my favorite book of all time. And it speaks about someone who's trying to buck the trend. It speaks about someone who's going against the norm. It speaks about someone who's trying to revolutionize his world. And why not, man? I think somewhere, I try to read that book once a year if I can.
So Kanishk, talking about stories, what's your financial story been like? Have you made money? Are you post revenue? Are you getting clients? What's happening?
Yeah, look, so I made most of my money through Opportune, right? So we sold the company at a very attractive valuation, and now we've using that money to reinvest, plow it back, and found angel investors, and we're building Insure My Home, right? So we're really in it for the long term. Obviously we want to make lots of money, but the goal is much bigger, right? It's to be the number one home insurance company in India, right? So I would say that is the goal we have. uh, so yeah, I think it's been a good first few years, and we just keep just hope to keep at it, yeah, till we strike gold, and in a more meaningful way, in a bigger way.
Are you currently making money?
Yeah, we're making money. Yeah, we're making money.
So Insure My Home is profitable?
Yes, yes.
That's great, man. Hoping for the best for Insure My Home. So Kanish, with that, we're going to bring it towards the end of our episode. We have this tradition on our podcast where the previous founder has left a question for you. We'd like you to answer that question and leave a question for the next one.
Got it. Okay.
So the question we have for you is, what is your support system?
My support system is really my family. Yeah. So, just my mom, my dad, my sister. I think they're the biggest support system that I have. So it's just very, very easy when you have a team that motivates you and supports you and your decisions. So I think that goes a long way, and having a strong support system really helps. Really helps on the tough days as well.
What would be your question for our next founder?
So my question